It's Hannah.
And Trevor.
And it's Disney Pinsomniac. And today we're here with an extra special video where we'll be reviewing our experience at the Skipper Canteen of Disney World.
Wow. So yeah, it's been a minute since we got back, and we're gonna talk about probably the best eating experience we've had at really any Disney park.
Let's maybe change eating experience to definitely say the best food we've had at Disney.
Fair.
At all. Besides, I really love at the Carnation Cafe that not mac and cheese, that grilled cheese with that tomato soup is fire. But besides that, and besides like Dole Whip or any like, you know, some of the fun treats that are always just gonna be really delicious, this was definitely the yummiest meal that we have had in Disney parks.
That's the right, yeah.
So I want to give you just some context. We went in November, early November. It was the Christmas holiday season, like the first day of holidays at the parks. And it was really fun. We went around 2 o'clock, 1 or 2 o'clock in the day, because we were trying to kind of beat when it was going to be the busiest and when the rides were going to be the busiest. So we went and decided to do our meal then so that we wouldn't feel like we were missing out on a lot of things, but that we could still enjoy like that quiet, nice meal for the two of us. So for those who are maybe not familiar as much with the dining options at Disney World and Magic Kingdom, we are not super familiar with them. So this was the place that was recommended most for Magic Kingdom eats. We've been told and seen online that Magic Kingdom is not the strongest for its meals, that it has really good like other things, but that the dining is not its strong point. So this was the place that we were recommended, and I have to say it's very funny to me that a lot of people who recommended it said that this was for adventurous eaters. And spoiler, I don't feel like anything was that adventurous. I mean, unless you're really only used to eating like average theme park food or like the typical, I guess, Midwestern diet, which if you are, that's fine. But if you've eaten other types of food before in your life, I don't feel like this is super adventurous. I'm pulling up the menu right now. The type of cuisine is listed as African, Asian, and Latin. We did have a reservation. The reservation process was not smooth at all. We went and then we waited. We waited at least 30 minutes even with having like a reservation. Yeah. So that was definitely like, in terms of our experience, it was really subpar in that way. I really wish that they didn't call you or text you until they were actually ready to seat you. That was pretty frustrating. So I know that the Skipper Canteen has a ton of puns. If you're like super into like the lore of like Magic Kingdom, and I even know that it gets into this like old club, I think, that Disney World used to have, kind of like Club 33 in like the 80s or something like that. I can't even remember, but my point is the lore is deep in here. We don't know a lot of that lore, so the theming was definitely fun, but it wasn't like as nostalgic for me personally. Trevor, I remember what you said when we were there.
I think as far as like any sort of themed restaurant goes like that, it's probably one of my favorites, just because I feel like I grew up with like adventure themed things and like close to maybe like safari themed things, just with like Indiana Jones and the like. And so I really liked the theming as far as that goes. Like it probably is one of my favorites, I think, as far as themed restaurants go.
Yeah, and we sat in the big hall room, which I think I would have preferred to have sat in the other spaces, like the like living space or the office spaces were way cooler themed.
We did walk around.
We did walk around and see that, but I do kind of wish that maybe we had been seated somewhere else. I was really cold the whole time because I was right underneath an air conditioner, but I just felt like the theming wasn't as good in the big room. But I'm glad that we didn't wait, because it would have been really long to wait. But the theming, I am not like as much of like an adventure stan, like my like adventure stan. I'm not as like, my nostalgia as a child, a lot of it does have to do with like more like Thunder Mountain type of like Western theming. I always wanted to be like on the plains. I used to really want to be like in that like world. So that was much more interesting to me, and I feel a little bit more nostalgia pull for that. But that being said, it was fun, it was cute. I have to say one of the biggest bummers for me is that our waiter was not very engaged with us. Like, I saw some of the other waiters at some of the other tables, and they were much more like, the puns and the jokes and everything was like very like constant. Our waiter gave out the like 2 or 3 like, that'll be out to you in the next 2 or 3 months. Like, they say that to everyone, right? And so, like, it wasn't bad, but I do feel like we didn't get the most, like, engaging of the types of, like, joking experiences that, like, people maybe want. So if you're, like, looking for, this is just my personal opinion, if you're going there just for, like, that funny interaction where it feels more like a themed dining experience and you're, like, expecting that from your waiter, I personally would say this is maybe not, like, the best of those options, because you just might not get a waiter who's that into it. We ate lunch and I ordered a very delicious curried vegetable cru stew, I think. Yes. So good. It's a one like vegetarian thing on the menu and it was delicious. They had bread with it that was like a type of like dipping bread, thin. It was so good.
Really good, really
the
good.
Sauce was so good. I was not a huge fan of the tofu, which surprises me because I'm usually a big fan of tofu, especially when it has such a good marinade, and the marinade was good on it, but the way they cooked it, it was a little bit tough for me to eat. I didn't love it as much as I normally do. I wish it had been more fried. It felt like boiled almost, which boiled tofu is just not my thing.
I got the hearty hard char soup pork, and it was really good as well. I really was leaning towards getting the chicken dish because I had heard that was really good. But when we were there, just the pork just felt right. And I'm not really a huge pork eater either.
No, you don't.
But
pork.
I really did enjoy it. It was really good.
Yeah. The flavors were complex. There was like multiple layers to what you were eating.
It really worked well together.
Everything tasted really good, and my favorite is that no bite tasted exactly the same, which I love. I love a meal where depending on what I get and mix it all together, it's like,
yeah, really good.
So
really
good. And so that was really lovely, is to be able to have just like a really good meal. The service was slow. It took a long time.
Slow.
We were there for at least an hour. There is one bathroom with 2 stalls for the entire restaurant.
Yeah, that's cool.
I waited for about 20 minutes for the bathroom maybe, and our food, because it's hot and it was fresh, it did take a long time for us to get it. It was not quick.
Yeah, it was like a long wait, yeah.
There was no appetizers or anything that we ordered, right? Like, I would not go there if you're thinking this can be a quick sit-down meal. This is not a quick sit-down meal.
Not.
It's not, you know, there's sometimes are like faster sit-down restaurants. This is not a fast sit-down restaurant. Again, we were there at least an hour, and we eat fast. The 2 of us eat fast.
We do, yeah.
And we probably shouldn't, but like, we were waiting for our food for at least like 30 minutes probably.
Yeah, and that was after we waited to be seated for probably 30 minutes. Yeah.
So our general consensus for this was that the food was great.
Yeah.
The time was like way too long, and it wasn't that busy in there.
No, it didn't feel very busy, really. It didn't feel super busy.
I think they just were probably understaffed, which, I mean, it is what it is, but that was kind of the biggest bummer, was just the staffing. It was kind of slow, and it wasn't as engaging. The theming was, like, fine. If you're, like, someone like Trevor, then it was really nostalgic. If you're me, it was just kind of fun, but the food was really good. It was expensive. We paid a fair amount of money for it. Both of our entrees were at least like $25.
Yeah, it's like a 20,
but they were a lot
$30.
of food. It filled me for like hours, and even running around after and doing a bunch of stuff, I was not hungry for like a long time, which was really great. Way more fulfilling and like satisfying than if we had done like a quick service meal.
I think for fans of the Jungle Cruise, it would be good too. I think if you really like the Jungle Cruise, it'd be fun to visit.
Yeah, and if you're just someone who likes something besides theme park food, this is really good. Vegetable stew, it was more like a curry, is like not that adventurous, but it was really delicious.
Really good.
Really yummy. I would really recommend this as the best food that I've had on Disney property. So
for sure.
And with that, that's our quick, short, simple review of the Skipper Canteen. Oh, and we stole our coasters.
Yeah, we still have the coasters. Let's
yeah, we
go.
always take the coasters from any restaurant we go to at Disney.
Yeah.
Eventually they mold, which means
Yeah,
it's
just
time.
cardboard,
They're just cardboard, so eventually they mold, which tells us it's time to go back to Disney when the
get a new-
coasters
yeah.
are,
No
in
good,
need
yeah.
of help.
No.
Let us know. Have you eaten at this restaurant? Are you planning on going in the future? Do you agree with us that it's not that adventurous, or do you feel like, yikes, I could never eat African, Asian, Latin cuisine?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. Bye!